Well, hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz,
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to Retired.
the podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure. Well, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day because we're mothers and we deal with that relationship with our kids, but it's also thinking about our own mothers and all the generations of the mothers that came before us and their impact on our lives. So, happy Mother's Day, all the mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers.
And I'm going to share a little thing. Today, 25 years ago, a quarter of a century, I gave birth to my eldest, most wonderful child.
Oh, wow.
Well, they're both most wonderful, but yeah, she was my first true love.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
25 years. It goes by too quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I see before you some handwritten papers folded ever so neatly that probably once belonged in an envelope.
Well, I was telling you that I had been doing some spring cleaning and trying to get rid of a bunch of stuff. Everything. And over the years, I've even gotten rid of old photo albums by taking pictures of them and just throw the whole album out. They're gone. All the pictures, everything's gone. Just get rid of stuff. And when I came across these, I thought, oh, I found a couple of letters dated 1980. So that doesn't sound old. But in
No,
1980,
it
I
does.
was out of high school.
I was 12.
I was out of high school. I graduated in 79, so I would have been in university. And these are from my grandmother. And which is so cool. I mean,
Maternal, paternal.
my maternal grandmother, Marie.
Marie.
She's my middle name, so I'm named after her.
And my eldest daughter, firstborn today, Marie.
All right, there we go. There's
Yeah.
a Marie connection going on here. But
Yes.
Grandma, here she's writing these letters, and I recognize the handwriting. It looks similar to my mother's in some ways, but it's so clean and nice compared to. That's one of the things you'll notice about that generation is their handwriting was better than my own personal handwriting, the handwriting today. Do you remember in school the kids would complain or the parents would complain that please don't write in script because we can't understand it, we can't read it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sad.
But anyhow, I'll have to say this about my grandma. She was a self-made woman. She was a woman of her head ahead of her time. She, I think, only went to fourth grade. And
Wow.
so this is a fourth grader writing this,
And
fourth
still
grade
quite
education.
lovely.
Yeah.
Right.
And not only that, but the content and the punctuation and everything else. Obviously, she read newspapers and everything, but she left school because she had to take care of the family. And there was a death. I think it must have been her mother
Wow.
who had died, and she had to take over
The roles.
responsibilities at home. Fourth grade education. So how old are you in fourth
Wow.
grade? I mean, maybe
10.
10.
That's
Yeah,
why I'm like,
10.
whoa.
So, and then
Wow.
she made a lot. I mean, she did a lot for herself. She eventually, when she got married, she started her own business. It was a corner grocery store, and it would sell, food stuffs and milk and beer and so she did that on her. She started that business. Then she invested her money into buying a flat, and then she let that flat out and she bought a home. She bought a couple of houses, and
Wow.
that's how she
In
made.
her name.
Well, and it must have been in both their name because that's how it
Yeah.
went
Because I
back
was
in
going to
those
say,
days.
could she have done it? But Wow, this is really cool.
And sold off one to make the next, and never made a lot of money, but always working and um, always making things happen. And this from a fourth grade education, pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you that it's not about, and I've always felt this, it's not education per se. It's helpful. It's one more leverage to be used, but it isn't the end all to be successful or to achieve goals. I think really it's grit. She had grit. She had perseverance. She had like, wow, like, ooh, I'm just like in love with her already.
Well, and I'm talking about, fourth grade education in the traditional sense. Of course, you have other education things you learn along the way, but
Yeah, but
I,
we discredit it in our culture. Education, it comes from an institution as opposed to learning through life and others and mentors. I think it's shifting
yeah.
because I think we're seeing all these tech giants who said college and they quit and they're multi-billionaires. So I think it's shifting because we're starting to finally get it that perhaps sitting in an institution that's outdated isn't going to be the thing that churns out successful humans. Case in point,
There we go.
your
So
grandmother.
let me, yeah. So Grandma, I'm
Grandma.
thinking about these times that I was in college, and so I guess I was doing some reflecting on, on her, thinking about her life because I'd written her a letter and asked her questions, and so she's in this letter
Oh,
saying I wanted to answer your questions. So let me read. This is kind of fun because we talked about generational stuff. Some of this has kind of
yes.
come up here. So
And a primary source of
a
1980.
primary source. Grandpa and I met at a dance at the Delwood. He was going with a girl at that time. We went downstairs for ice cream and had a few dances, and that was that. So he's already dating a girl, and he's going, okay.
Mm.
I didn't see him again for a year, and one night I was
Oh,
going to a novena at St. Mary's Church on Broadway and Pine, and on the corner of Jefferson, John was waiting for a bus to take him to a political meeting at the Buffalo Auditorium. So it just cracks me up, these letters. They always talk about the the church name and the streets they're
yeah, the
on.
minutia,
Yeah,
the
and I'm like,
details. Yeah.
wow. Okay, so this is also, so John, my grandpa, was always involved with like local political stuff. We made a date for the following week. So he's he's out there asking for dates. We made a date for the following week and then started going together. We were married the next year.
Wow.
Listen to this. So you see, whomever you are supposed to marry, you will meet him sometime. There are two others I thought I would like to have married, but they never panned out, not for some reason or another. One a policeman, and the other an only child who was too close to his mother.
She
I
saved herself.
I have his picture, but none of the policemen. So she kept this. She was like, uh, you know, we were all in our 30s by this time, so you can see how things were. Well,
Ooh.
Sue, it's too long. Let me next page. Too long to write about my romance, but would be glad to recite them to you in person. So isn't that funny?
So cute.
She says, I really liked the letter because it made me think back 40 or 50 years. I'm now nearly 79 years old, and in
Wow.
January I will be 79. That's plenty old, and believe me, I know I'm old because I can't go for walks anymore because I can't walk very well. It will be an effort to go mail this letter at the mailbox and get milk. Well, Sue, I have lots more to tell you, but haven't got the time or remembrance. I'm forgetting so many things. You wouldn't think your grandma's so old that she forgets so many things like names and stories. Well, here she is talking about the name of the church and the streets she's on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Such a good point.
Yeah,
She just didn't want to write too hard.
yeah. So delightful. That's what a letter. And then there's another part to it here. She said, "Your mother Your mother didn't tell me that you were working in a TV station. Good for you. I think it was ideal work and wish I could have gotten into something like that. Stick to it, Sue."
And
Aw.
here you are. And here you are.
And here I am, not having worked in a TV station since.
But you kind of created one.
It would that would have I should have stuck with that and really stuck with that. Oh,
Okay, that
Grandma,
is where
I
our
should have
future
listened.
topic is about that. You are doing exactly what you would have and until you went off on a different course. You are kind of in your own way coming back to that, Sue.
Well, I don't think I ever left it in many respects, but if you listen to Grandma, you want to, that's the thing. That you got to listen to Grandma. Do you have any such stories or things that your grandma taught you or directed
I
you
think
in?
what uh, you just reminded me of is that I am a daughter who lived in isolation because both my grandmothers lived in Norway. So I didn't
Oh,
get to have them for Christmas and birthdays and celebrations. And I had adopted grandparents, my godparents.
oh, nice.
Uh-huh. Um, but it there I think that's always been kind of a hole that I have this large family sitting across the pond. And I wish that I'd had grandparents around. I really do. I think they're vital to growth and nurturing and a different perspective and generational awareness. I think grandparents really serve a good purpose that way.
And you didn't have that opportunity because in our day, long distance was not a thing. FaceTime was not a thing. My
Mm-mm.
grandma, she lived, that's why I got a letter. She lived across the country. She lived in New York, and I was in Indiana at this time. And
Oh,
so we didn't get to have all those things, but, we would visit once a year and see her once a year if we were lucky. But this was kind of cool to get letters. So
100%.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And so did your grandparents or grandparent so let me just stick with the ones that were back in Norway. In what did they teach you, or what did you learn from them? Maybe through them.
Hmm. Well, when I think about my dad's mother on the farm, she was so sweet and so active. And in her late 70s, she was going on walks. And she even came to America, never having left the little village of Norway with not a lick of English. And she came here. She was anxious because she couldn't quite understand, because she came from a little tiny farm in Norway,
Right.
that why everything wasn't in Norwegian and English. She was like really perplexed by this. But what I remember with her was the fact that she was still very active, and she went on a hike with me to my favorite creek. And in fact, every day I go hiking now and I head towards that creek, I always think this is, even though it was my trail for my whole life, it became my grandmother trail. Bestemor is what I called her, which means best mother.
Yeah.
And how much I love Norwegian cookies. So best memory I have, and then it goes back to you. When we spent Christmas in Norway, this is the routine that my dad grew up with. You get up in the morning and there's a variety of cookies and cakes, and you have it with your coffee, you pick and choose, it goes away. Later comes breakfast. After breakfast, cookies and cakes come back out and you eat it. Then comes the afternoon heavy dinner, and after which then come out the cakes and cookies. And I mean, it was like this constant feast.
What's that
Hold
noise?
on. That's my heater that I did not touch, but it went off. So I'm going to unplug this electric heater. Maybe it just got too hot. Whew. Okay, back.
Well, I'm glad
So,
that was not a fire alert for your
yeah,
area.
me too. And at first I'm like, gosh, Sue, what's going on over there? It was here. Anyway, that is my paternal grandmother. The first things that come to mind. You, I want to hear now a little bit about what this particular grandmother taught you.
Well, here's some more. Yeah, you heard that one, but
Oh, there's more.
here's another letter. Um,
Oh,
this is kind of interesting because it kind of relates to the last week's episode too. Um,
oh, hold on. What year? Does
it's
it
the
say
same
on
letter,
there?
same year. It's just
Okay.
1998. It's a month later.
Okay.
Um, but let's see. Let me pick up where it was. I'm going to read from here.
Okay.
I got your second letter today, she says, but I read your first letter again so I would know what to write to you about. Um, so back in those days, we were very happy. They were happy for me, and I'm glad that you remember them so well. The crib you slept in was in my room downstairs. I
Oh,
still have the bottom drawer filled with toys. So glad you enjoyed those days because I did very much, and I love to have you visit us. That's why it makes me so lonesome nowadays.
oh,
Yeah, isn't that? I mean,
yeah.
um, she said, I sent her some photographs, I guess. So, Sue, you're getting to be quite the photographer. I don't know how to spell it. Um, Sue,
Listeners, I'm interrupting. She is.
she is
Continue on.
interrupting herself, right? Um,
You are a
uh,
good photographer.
I'll
Thank you,
save
Tina.
these. I'm trying to read it. Thank you, Tina. Let me start
You're
again.
welcome. I just think everybody should know.
You're so cute. Okay, let me start again.
Okay.
Sue, you're getting to be quite the photographer. Thank you, Tina. Uh, um, I'll save these pictures about with your contact lenses. Sue, what do you think you will be most comfortable in? If it's just for looks, forget it. You are pretty enough for any guy,
Oh,
and you have to think of your schooling first. So it's about being pretty for a guy.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is how
but
we
think about your
started.
schooling first.
Yes.
I'll never
Right.
forget what I told your mother
She's
when
right.
she graduated. She didn't have a date, and one of her girlfriends did, and she felt bad. I didn't like the fellow that the girlfriend had, and I said to Pat, "Never mind, your day will soon to be here." And it was, and we loved your father, and the same will be for
Oh,
you. Your mother was depressed that day and felt sorry for
oh.
herself. So, Sue, don't be envious of anyone because your day will come sooner than expected. I'm not
Or
preach
later.
later. I'm not preaching. I hope, but I know because you are a wonderful girl and I love you very much, you and your family. My wish is that you live closer, but can't
Mhm.
be helped because we must live where our employment is. I just thought that was hilarious. The thing about um, mentioning I was wearing contacts, and so don't do this for a guy. Do it for what you want, and then it goes into my mother being envious of a friend and
Yeah, and he
assuming that
was a
I might
jerk
be
anyway.
envious too. Yeah, and like you said, when it happens, it'll happen, even if it's much later.
Right.
Yeah.
Much later.
So,
Yes.
but her thoughts on all the girl drama stuff, I would never have imagined of her when I was growing up. Her talking about relationships and her love interests and stuff like that. It's kind of fun to see that human side of your grandparent and your parent too, because she's talking about my mom. So yeah, it was kind of
Yeah,
funny.
that's so true. And you know what she taught me in this letter, through this letter, it's the reminder that our country is large and we can't base where we're going to live on our children because they're going to do what they're going to do. And you want them to do what they're going to do, but it is kind of sad. Like here she is, and you're not there and she's missing out on those pieces. But in a way not, but it is lonely, it is hard, so it's really important on this side of retirement, here we go again,
Right,
that you really create a rich and full life for yourself and not dependent on your children because we don't know where they're going to be. We really don't.
right.
And you're lucky your daughter's still close to you. And I'm realizing that San Diego is like a death sentence to drive because it's so hard to sit in that traffic for
Yeah.
hours and hours and hours and
Yeah.
hours. And then up north, it's a drive. It's a distance,
It really
you know?
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What used to be a drive, even 10 or 20 years ago, it's double or triple of that now with the traffic. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
grandma, that was nice.
Grandma, I just thought it was kind of fun, and to see her, think of her age now. She's older than she was younger than what my mother is now, and
Yeah.
kind of think about the
True.
context of our time. But yeah, grandmas.
So tell me about your paternal
That's an interesting.
grandmother.
My paternal grandmother. She. This is a clever little story. Her name is Olga, and
Oh, love it.
originally they were going to call me Suzanne Olga Britz, but I'm glad they didn't because they figured out the initials would be SOB, so they didn't.
Oh, oh, that's good. They saved you.
Yeah, but she died when I was an infant.
Oh,
Um, she had leukemia, and so she died. She took her a long time to die. So I guess she was fairly miserable in her last years and had a lot of had to be taken care of by family, and that was hard for everybody. But you have these idealized ideas about our grandparents or our parents, for that matter, any of our family members when we're little kids. And I learned from my aunt, my godmother, that I guess she had a hard time living under her roof as a teenager and was kind of rebellious and so forth. That the mom could be kind of harsh and hard, and maybe that was because she was ill. I don't know,
mm.
or that's just the way she was. But
It's nice to give her a benefit of the doubt there. Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know a lot more. And my dad never really talked a whole lot about her either, because so I'm wondering if she just was a
Mm-hmm.
difficult person.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they wanted to name me after her. I don't know why that would have been, but
Well, maybe because she was telling.
I told them you better name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you better name, yeah, your child after me.
that's funny. That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a lot about her in particular. On that side of the family, it was always Grandpa Britz. He would come down and visit us, and we loved him so much. He knew how to interact with kids, and it was a
Oh.
very caring man. And so I'm thinking, yeah, my dad really
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot from his father about how to be that caring person. I saw he used to
Wow,
play
that's
with us,
lovely.
and as kids, and then as my mom got her Alzheimer's dementia, he really stepped up and took care of her. And he had never done housework and stuff around the house. I mean, our parents were very much into their gender role plays, but it was just he and mom, he really stepped up and took care of all the things that had to be done. And it's like, wow, okay. And I imagine that's how my grandpa was too. So
Absolutely.
that was pretty cool. Yeah. All right, grandmas. Mother's
So,
Day.
my other grandmother, um, my first solid memory of her was when she came to visit. I was probably about 7, and she came with her nurse because she had been in a mental institution, and late in the later years for the elderly, because she suffered from what came out later, schizophrenia. My mom
Mm.
always said she had a nervous breakdown. And my mom grew up during the war, I think, to a very stern man, my grandfather. And I don't think he was full of warm fuzzies. And of course, my grandmother was the warm fuzzy. And she sang, and I remember my mom saying that when her father was a soldier out in the war, my grandmother had very little, always felt bad for the people that had even less, and she was the person that would invite them in and share her last loaf of bread.
Wow.
So that was my grandmother. So really warm things. And at 12, he got tuberculosis, and he stayed in his bedroom and yelled at my mom not to enter, and he died. And then my grandmother never quite recovered from that. And finally, my mom was whisked off by the police into government care and sent to an orphanage at 14.
Oh, my
So
word.
what I know, and my grandmother was in institutions from that point on. However, what I take from her was a gentleness of spirit, just a gentleness of spirit. So when she did come that time, it was like odd because I was playing like tea party with her, and here she is, old with gray hair and a cute little bun. Like, she looked like the perfect sweet grandmother, and she was. But it was like I felt like the adult in that relationship because she was so young. And then as I got older and I met her again, she was stuck in a time, like, she knew she had a daughter. She knew I was her granddaughter intellectually in some ways. She knew that we were related.
Was she was this maybe dementia or as well?
No. So she came to visit, and then the next time, not being aware of what my mom was going to have me enter into, so I was about 5th grade, and she took me to go visit my grandmother, and she just said, "We're going to visit your grandmother today." And we were staying actually at the nurse's house. And when I went, I was so scared I wanted to bolt, because I went into the foyer and it was just elderly people who were pacing, rocking back and forth. They were crazy. And my mom didn't warn me. And I knew something was terribly wrong, and I was scared for my life. And my mom just said, "You behave." So I became the perfect daughter and followed her when I'm ready to just scream and run out of there, terrified. And yet I felt safe in the little, it was just my grandmother and my mom and I, because my grandmother was just as sweet as pie. So I'm trying to think if I saw her again. I think I did see her again when I was 19, but it's not very clear. But I wasn't afraid. So those are the takeaways that I have. And yeah.
Wow. So where was this the grandmother?
Uh, in fact, going back to Norway this time, taking the train with my cousin up to see my family, I remember the name of the town, and it was Melhus. So it's south of Trondheim, in the middle of countryside, in a tiny little village.
Okay.
And
So these are when you
probably,
went on your trips to Norway. This was one of
yeah,
the highlights to go see your grandma.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting how I reacted, because they're like, I don't know, the bus driver was saying, "Oh yes, we're stopping at Melhus," or passing by, or I saw the sign. I can't even remember. It didn't matter, but it was like, it was a throwback, because I hadn't thought about my grandmother, and I just remember she lived in Melhus, Melhus, Melhus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
times,
grandmothers,
different era, different times.
yeah, different relationships,
Yep.
distance, culture, language. Yeah.
Yeah. On
Oof.
that happy note, we wish you all a very happy
Happy
Mother's
Mother's
Day.
Day!
Thanks for listening. Now let's pack up this week's episode in the trunk.
And lock it. Ride shotgun and be a part of our adventure by clicking on the plus sign to subscribe and follow our show. This will help our ratings and, more importantly, inspire us to keep creating fun and engaging content. We would love to hear from you in the comment sections, or email us at retiredpodcastnewtread@gmail.com. Use the fast track lane by sharing episodes with friends, family, and anyone who would like to join us on a road trip through retirement.
Be sure to check the show notes for links and contact information. Chauffeured is... I do this every
Chauffeured is
time.
retired
I
by
do this
Super
every
Britz.
time. Be sure to check the show notes for links and contact information. Retired is chauffeured by Sue Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. It is produced, directed, and edited by me, Sue Britz, and music and graphics are by me too. Buckle up and tune in next week so that you won't miss your chance to join our retired road trip. Okay, let me get the stop button here. Stop. Okay.